As we've talked for the past year about Wichita's 4 challenges, we keep coming back to the same question. How can an average Wichitan get involved? The answer is the perception challenge. And the key to bolstering a positive perception begins with this guy. In his almost 60 years on air, Fred Rogers embodied what it meant to be a good neighbor.
Please won't you be my neighbor? My neighbor?
So what does being a neighbor mean in Wichita today?
My name is Lavonta Williams, and I am the council member for District 1. Well, I think that a neighborhood is more than just a collection of streets. It's a community of people working together.
My name is Trish Heilman. I am the president of the College Hill Neighborhood Association. It's easy to know 10 to 50 people. It's pretty tough when you get higher than 50, and it's really tough when you're talking a whole city. We have neighborhoods because we need to have a smaller group that can be community to each other.
There are some neighborhoods that they don't even know their neighbors, and that's not a good thing. And so we must encourage people to see more value in their neighborhoods and in their community than they do.
SoCi, South Central, is a neighborhood that's just recently done this to bring people to say, hey, here's what makes us special, here's what we do that's different.
In South Central, we're known in Wichita for the South Broadway corridor. Wichitans know the South Broadway corridor usually means like, oh, that's where you go buy illegal things.
This is Adam Barlow Thompson, Executive Director of SoCi Life, an organization that is spearheading efforts to change the way neighborhoods view themselves, starting with his own neighborhood in South Central Wichita.
So there's a perception there around that, and the neighbors who live there believe that about themselves. They believe that perception of like, you know, this is the place people don't want to go and don't want to buy a home. What we've started doing is, instead of making a list of all that's wrong, let's make a list of all that's right, and then draw on the abundance that exists with that and allow that to transform the community from the inside out.
And research suggests that community engagement has a whole host of benefits.
When you neighbor, you increase likelihood for employment for people, you reduce crime, you help elders stay in their home longer. It's incredible how many ways neighboring impacts the social measures that we keep track of. So if we want to be a community full of healthy people, like, go meet your neighbor.
I think that's where we begin to tell our stories. That's where we begin to change that perception. Neighborhoods are people. And so if we don't have happy people, healthy people, safe people, it's not a complete neighborhood.
And without complete neighborhoods, how can we expect to have a complete city?
Not all of us can go be city council members. Not all of us can, take on these huge, big investments of time or energy, but we can all help make our neighborhoods great. And that contributes to the safety and the well-being of the whole city.
If you turn to page 169 in The World According to Mr. Rogers, you'll find this piece of wisdom. One of the greatest dignities of humankind is that each successive generation is invested in the welfare of each new generation. The challenges of the city are too large for any one person to tackle, especially the perception challenge. But an individual can have an incredible impact on his or her neighbors. Imagine what our city would look like if every citizen were actively engaged in the betterment of their neighborhoods.